I always knew my parents valued money more than me, but I never knew just how much until they tried to profit off my death. It started on a rainy Friday night, the kind where headlights blur against the windshield and thoughts weigh heavier than clouds. I was driving home from my night shift at the bookstore, my small haven of peace in a life surrounded by neglect and resentment. My parents, Charles and Marlene, had always made it clear that I was the accidental expense, the child they had to tolerate after my golden older brother Caleb came into the world. While Caleb was smothered in praise, piano recitals, and college funds, I was told things like, "Just be grateful we feed you," or "Don't embarrass us." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. That night, a semi-truck jackknifed 2 cars ahead of me on the highway. I braked hard, swerved off the road, and slammed into a ditch. The airbag knocked me unconscious. When I woke up in a small rural hospital 6 hours later, the attending nurse, a kind middle-aged man named Officer Tyler Graves, was already at my bedside. "You're lucky," he said. "The car was totaled. We found your wallet. Your parents think you're dead." I blinked. "What?" Tyler explained slowly. "When the fire crew arrived at the scene, they found the wallet with your ID near the burning wreck of another car, completely charred. The driver was unrecognizable. But your ID? Intact. It was a mix-up, but—" "But they think it's me?" He nodded, then hesitated. "Your parents already filed the death claim for the insurance." I laughed. Or tried to. It came out as a dry, choking noise. "They didn't even check if I was alive?" Tyler looked uncomfortable. "Not only did they not check, they already started the process to collect your life insurance. It was fast. Almost too fast." Something inside me snapped. Not broke. Snapped. Like a brittle bone under pressure. The woman who gave birth to me was already cashing me in like a slot machine payout. And my dad? Probably uncorking a bottle of scotch to celebrate. Tyler leaned in. "I can report you as alive right now. It'll stop everything." I shook my head. Let's give them what they want." He looked stunned. "What are you talking about?" "I want to see what they do when they think I'm gone. I want to see who comes to the funeral. I want to hear the eulogy. I want to see their faces when I walk into that church." Tyler paused. Then, something flickered in his eyes. Respect. "Okay," he said. "But if we do this, we do it smart. You'll need a place to stay. No social media, no contact. And I'll help you keep the record sealed for 72 hours. I nodded. "Let's do it." For the next 2 days, I lived like a ghost. Tyler let me stay at his cabin near the lake. No cell service, no Wi-Fi. Just the sound of birds and my own breath, and a growing rage rising in my chest like a storm surge. On the 3rd morning, he returned from town holding a funeral program. My picture was on the front, a photo from my 8th grade science fair. I was holding a trophy with both hands and smiling, awkward braces and all. "She was quiet," it read underneath, "but always tried to do the right thing." Tried. As if even dead, they couldn't give me credit. "What's the insurance amount?" I asked. He hesitated. $1 million. I stared at him. $1 million. That's what I was worth to them. They signed the claim within 24 hours. No hesitation, he confirmed. I felt cold all over. And then came the funeral. That morning, I dressed in black slacks, a simple white blouse, and tied my hair in a low bun. Tyler handed me a police badge and whispered, "Just in case it gets messy." I stepped into the church through the back entrance. The casket was closed, no body inside. Of course. Just a weight of stone meant to mimic a corpse. My mom, dressed in navy silk, was weeping with theatrical perfection at the front pew. My dad stood beside her, talking to Caleb and some sleazy-looking insurance rep. "The policy should clear by Monday," Dad muttered. "That quick?" Caleb asked. "Long as no loose ends show up," Dad smirked. "Loose ends." That was me. I stepped forward, and everything stopped. Caleb's eyes widened first, then the insurance rep dropped his pen. Mom turned, slowly, expecting maybe a late-arriving guest. Then her face drained of blood like someone pulled a plug from her spine. Dad was last, and when he saw me, his mouth twitched. Not in joy, not in guilt, in irritation. "You're supposed to be dead," he said softly, like I'd inconvenienced him. My mother gasped. We already told everyone." "Lied," I cut her off. "You lied to the insurance company, lied to your friends, lied to my coworkers. You buried an empty box and cashed in on it." Dad straightened. "You were nothing but a burden. Finally, we saw a way out." Tyler stepped forward and pulled out a small audio recorder, and that's all I needed to hear. The next sound was the clink of handcuffs, but this is only the beginning. The arrest made headlines. Parents charged with insurance fraud after faking daughter's death. Daughter walked into funeral alive. My name, Elise Connors, was suddenly everywhere. I had always been invisible to my family, a shadow trailing behind Caleb's spotlight. But now, I was the walking scandal, the unwanted truth they couldn't bury. Mom and Dad were both charged with attempted fraud and obstruction of justice. Caleb walked free, for now. But he didn't escape the judgment of public opinion. The world saw through the pretty LinkedIn photos and family brunch posts. Everyone knew he was part of it. He just didn't get his hands dirty enough for cuffs. I didn't return to the bookstore. I couldn't go back to being that girl who came back from the dead. So I stayed with Officer Tyler for a while. He became my rock, the only person who hadn't looked at me like I was a ghost or a curse. He was calm, steady, and didn't ask questions I wasn't ready to answer. One night, as we sat near his wood-burning stove, I asked him something I hadn't dared to say out loud until then. "Why did you help me?" He took a long sip of coffee. "Because I saw what they did, and because I lost my sister to people like that once. I couldn't save her, but I could help you." That night, I didn't sleep much. Not because of nightmares, but because I was planning. I didn't just want revenge anymore. I wanted justice. Real, poetic, undeniable justice. So I started gathering everything. Emails, old texts, voicemails from my mom saying, "You know Caleb's going to get everything, right?" Bank transfers showing they cashed my birthday checks for rent support I never saw. Messages between Caleb and Dad joking that my death was their lucky break. Tyler helped me file a civil suit, but I wasn't just suing them for fraud. I was suing them for emotional damage, identity theft, and criminal conspiracy. I wanted everything out in the open. Their lies, their favoritism, the years they made me feel like I was nothing. The trial drew even more attention than the arrest. I'll never forget the moment Mom took the stand. Dressed in a conservative gray suit, hair perfectly curled, eyes wide and innocent like she was auditioning for sainthood. "They told us it was her," she said, voice trembling. "We thought our daughter was gone. We were grieving. We didn't mean to rush the claim." The lawyer asked, "And did you post this on Facebook 2 hours after filing the claim?" He clicked a screen. On it, her post. "God works in mysterious ways. Sometimes we must let go to move forward. Caleb will carry our family now." The courtroom went silent. Then came my father. When asked why they didn't verify my death, he leaned back and said flatly, "Because it didn't matter. She was always going to fail. We just made peace with it sooner." I could feel the jury's disgust in the air, but the moment that burned into everyone's minds came when I read the letter I found in my old bedroom, dated 6 months before the crash. It was from my mother. "If anything ever happens to Elise, Caleb must be the sole beneficiary. She wouldn't know what to do with money anyway." My voice didn't shake as I read it. I was done shaking. I ended with, "They didn't mourn me. They planned their vacation with the insurance money. They didn't call the coroner. They called the bank." The jury took 2 hours to deliberate. Guilty on all counts. But that wasn't the end. In the aftermath, I didn't hide. I leaned in. I did interviews. I spoke on podcasts. I wrote a memoir called Buried Alive: How My Parents Tried to Cash Me In. It became a bestseller. I donated the profits to help other survivors of family betrayal and financial abuse. I started a nonprofit for children disowned or exploited by toxic families. I called it the Phoenix Foundation. My story wasn't just a headline anymore. It was a lifeline for others. And my parents? They were sentenced to 5 years, not just for the fraud, but for everything that came out in court. Caleb's reputation crumbled. He lost his job. His fiancée left him. He sent me one email saying, "You ruined our lives." I replied, "I gave you a mirror. Don't blame me if you don't like the reflection." But that's not the final chapter. 3 years later, I stood at the edge of a quiet meadow behind a small community center, the Phoenix Foundation's main shelter. A group of teenagers were painting a mural on the wall. On it, a woman with flames behind her and wings rising from her shoulders, rebirth through fire. Underneath, it read, "You are not disposable." I had come full circle. That old version of me, the one who begged my parents to see me, love me, choose me, she was gone, buried not in a coffin, but in the ashes of the betrayal they set alight. As for my parents, Mom was denied early release after faking illness to get sympathy. Classic. Dad quietly worked in a warehouse after prison. Last I heard, he tried to pitch a book about forgiving your ungrateful daughter. No publisher touched it. Caleb filed for bankruptcy. He sent me one final message. "I hope you're happy." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because happiness didn't come from revenge. It came from freedom, from choosing myself, finally, over their lies. Tyler stood beside me that day at the mural unveiling. He squeezed my hand gently. "You rebuilt something they tried to destroy," he said. "No," I whispered, watching the kids laugh and paint. "I built what they never could." And that was my real inheritance. Not their money, not their name, but the power to rise from the grave they tried to put me in, stronger, louder, unshakable. I wasn't the ghost at my own funeral anymore. I was the storm that followed, and I had learned to dance in the rain. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you